So anybody that's been watching this channel for more than about 5 minutes will know that I love a good bit of prep, laying out and just kind of slowly figuring out exactly what you're doing before rushing into stuff. And so I've watched a couple of YouTube tutorials. Ironic, I know. This is not a tutorial. This is not me telling you how to do it. This is me saying what I have done. There are a couple of tutorials that I've watched. One in particular was very, very helpful. So I'm going to post a link to that below. I'm basically going to follow that process. So I've laid out my tiles, I've labeled them and numbered them. Doubt you can see that just because it's quite small. And I've done it with a Sharpie, and then I've checked. These builder's wipes work perfectly for getting it off afterwards. So that's very good. I have then marked and laid out on my wall. Again, I don't know if you can see it, but I have the first a line here where the tips of this first section of tile is going to be that I've laid out. I've added in a 45 mark just to make sure I'm on, and I've got a plumb line down the center. The center of a tile in herringbone is in the middle of the short edge. It is not point to point, it's in the middle here. And this is just helpful because it's drawing a line straight through the tiles. But what I will end up doing is laying out my tiles, and I'll line this line up with the line behind it. And then obviously I'll use my spacers and everything. But I know that that is the layout that I'm going for. I've obviously got some spacers with me, so I'm going to mix up some adhesive. I'll set you up to the side, and then I will be starting. So it's quite exciting, actually. I'm quite looking forward to this. So yeah, see you in a second. Right, I'm pretty happy with how this is going so far, and it is pretty much just a case now of following the pattern the whole way up. I've gotten the cuts right, I'm happy with all of those. The pattern obviously repeats quite nicely. As far as I can see, okay, I can see I've made one mistake here which I'll have to quickly fix. This one here, that should be here, and there should be a tile going down there. That's one mistake there. The rest of them actually look okay. So I'm going to quickly rip that out now. That's not the first time that's happened. It's really hard down at the cuts. It's really difficult down here to see exactly what should be going where and which direction the thing should be traveling in, because it gets quite close. Well, it's hard to see which is the top and which is the bottom of any tile and pattern and all the rest of it. So that is an error on my part, but not one that is unfixable by any means. I just need to push that over there and then get a corresponding tile cut to fit that space. may even already have one cut. Yeah, that one, but it is a little long. So I'll just nip this down if I can. I've got one that was cut from another section, so I'm going to see if I can score off a little bit. It might not work, I might need to do a whole new tile. That does sometimes happen because it's quite a fine edge that you're cutting off. Let's give it a go and see. I've got a Sigma score and snap tile cutter here that I'm using just off camera. Yeah, it cracked. Let's snap the end there. Never mind. What I will do is I will just double check whether that would have fitted nicely. Because if it would have, yeah, that would have done well. What I can do is I can use that as a template on a full-size tile that I'll then cut down. Okay. Perfect. So now I'll just put a little bit of adhesive on the back of the tile. I've got some on the wall, but I'll just back butter these little ones at the bottom. I've been doing that on most of them actually, just to help make sure they are fully stuck on. I don't want any coming away. Okay. Right, well that was a quick save, thankfully. And that looks all right, I think. Okay, so yeah, you can see all of these go up, 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 up. So that's how I know that the rest of the pattern is fine, because they all just crisscross. So now, with the mixture that I've got left here, I'll just keep going up, and I'll probably concentrate in the middle where I don't have to make any cuts, before I then apply some to the sides where I do want to make cuts. I'm not filming this too much as I go, to be honest, but it's coming together all right. I'm quite happy with that. And I think the tiles look beautiful. I think they look really, really nice. So I'm very happy with how they look on the wall. Just got to keep going now. This has come together very nicely. So that is all done the whole way down there. I've put this metal cap on. I'll be going along here with some cork, and under here with the same white silicone that I'm going to put down the edges and in the corners and along the edge of the bath. But I am very, very pleased with that. I like how that looks. The repeating patterns, very satisfying. I'm pleased. So what I'll do is I'll have a bath panel that'll come across here. It'll just be a timber one, that's fine. That'll cover the rough edges. There'll be a little kind of beading on the front of this here. Then I'll put white silicone down the edge to finish that off nicely. So I've got a couple more jobs. I'm not going to do them now, I'm exhausted, but these little white kind of nodes, the little wax beads that protect the tile while it's travelling. Got to get all of those off. Once I've done that, I can then wash them all down, then grout them, and then silicone. Then I can start attacking the floor. I'll probably wash, I'm going to hoover everything, but I'll also wash the floor, make sure it's nice and flat and clean and all of that. Then I can do the actual flooring. We've got some Cardine coming down here, which will be very nice. Once the Cardine is done, I can start getting the bath suite in. I've taken the taps off because there was some damage on it, actually. There's a chip, which wasn't particularly nice looking, so we've sent it back. Well, they're sending us a new one anyway. Oh, I'm tired. But we're getting there. We are getting there. So things are coming together quite nicely. It's a lot cleaner in here, much tidier now. But I'll give the tiles a full wash down. And the new taps have arrived. Taking them off was helpful anyway, to be able to grout easier. But the new set have arrived. So I'm going to sell the old set on eBay. I don't know if I'll get round to making the screen anytime soon, to be honest. We have quite a lot of spare tiles, so I'm going to store them under the bath. I worked out the square meterage that I needed, rounded it up to the nearest whole number, and then added 10% as well for breakage. And I broke hardly any. I think I broke, well, I ended up being able to use a lot of the broken tiles because there were, you know, corners like this needed or corners like that. So it ended up being quite efficient. Up here, I've put the little fillet piece at the top. I've done the same down at the bottom here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Maybe I can light this up this way. I've put that along the bottom, so it gives something for this to curve round now. I've added on a little extra strip here. This is all going to get covered anyway, so that's fine. But that can now go the whole way along there. So I'll be able to stick that on, which would be nice. And I've done the door lining as well. I probably should have filmed that. I'm sorry that I didn't. I do apologise. But I've shimmed it at the top because it was just ever so slightly out of level. But this is now perfectly plumb and straight and in line. And what I did is I figured out what the thickness of the door was by actually lining it up against the door. And I've made this little jig that meant that I could line the door lining up against that. So that is the perfect thickness of the door. The door's going to open and swing inwards, so the hinges will be on this side, so I'll cut those out when I'm installing it. But it means that the door will be seated nicely in here, and I gave a little, like an extra millimetre, just so that it's kind of in there. But if you look, you know, when the door is shut on any other normal door, it is pretty flush and in line. So you don't want too much. You don't want it to be too far recessed in, because it can catch on here as it opens up, and it can cause issues for the hinges. You have to kind of notch out more of the lining to be able to accommodate the barrel of the hinge. So that's that. Everything's kind of cleaned up and tidied up. I need to just have a quick wash out of this, scrape it all out, clear it out, and then I can start grouting. And, well, cleaning up first. So that is a wrap on the tiling. That's fully grouted now. I went back and raked out the joints a little bit because some of it had spread a little wide on the tile. I've also done a preliminary wash down, washed it a couple of times. Now I'm going to let it dry fully and then I'll probably wash it down tomorrow. And then after that I'll be able to go around all of the corners and the edges of the bath with some white silicone to fully wash that. So you can see there's a bit of haze on the tiles. That's just from the grout there, like that. But that'll rub off very easily and wash off as well. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That's come out very nicely. Hopefully that was quite satisfying for you to watch on the time lapse. If so, please do give this video a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you on the next video.